Hello, and welcome to this post-Easter video. This is partially for the middle school youth group and partially just for everybody. We've been talking about the idea of Sabbath for the past couple of weeks, and I want to finish that here this week with just a short video. You know, one of the amazing things about Easter is that it means so many different things. You know, we can talk about Easter, Jesus' resurrection from the dead, as meaning so many different things. One of the big things it means, though, is that we are living in a new creation. I've been talking about this the past couple weeks a little bit, about Genesis and about Sabbath, and about how Sabbath means things being the way that they're meant to be. I've also encouraged you guys to read the book of John. I'm just going to look down here real quick at my Bible and the book of John. And if you guys open up to the book of John at home, in fact, why don't you do that right now? One of the texts here that comes right after the crucifixion in John 19 is then John 20, where Jesus rises from the dead. And in the book of John, one of the things that you should be aware of is that the writer John will talk about on the first day this happened, on the second day this happened, and he'll talk about things happening with a day or night. So some people in the book of John will come to Jesus in the daytime when it's bright outside. Some people will come to Jesus at nighttime when it's dark outside. And so a couple of the most obvious and clearest places that you guys can just look this up and see it is in John chapter 3 and John chapter 4, where you have Nicodemus, who is a teacher of the law. He's a Pharisee. He's coming to Jesus at nighttime. And in John chapter 4, where you have a Samaritan woman coming to Jesus during the daytime. So you can take a look at those things. But one of the cool things is that, just like in the book of Genesis, where it teaches us that God created everything in the universe in 6 days, and then on the seventh day he rested, and that was that Sabbath day, the book of John is actually teaching us not about creation, but about new creation. Okay, now this is something that you'll hear Christians talk about. But I got to tell you guys, if you've ever experienced something that is the restorative nature of God restoring something in your life that you didn't think it was possible for him to do that, you are experiencing something that we call new creation. This is what the book of John is all about. So when Jesus rises from the dead in John chapter 20, it is talking not about the original creation, but that Jesus has come to make everything new. How cool is that? So not only has he come to make my life new, he's come to make your life new. He's also come to make your parents' life new. He's come to make your siblings' life new. He's come to make everybody you know, their life brand new again. Not only that, he's also come to make the whole entire earth brand new as well. So in John chapter 20, verse 1, it says this. It says, "Early on the first day of the week, while it was still dark." And then it tells the story. Early on the first day of the week, while it was still dark. Now John has been telling a story in which there was the first day and the second day and the third day this happened and the fourth day this happened. He's telling it as a prolonged way of talking about new creation. And in the original creation story, if you guys remember, back in the book of Genesis, it's a seven-day thing that happens, right? God creates everything in 6 days, and then he rests. Well, here in the book of John, 7 days happen, and then the first day of the week comes again. And that's what John chapter 20 is saying, early on the first day of the week. And what this is telling us is that me and you, all of us now, are living in an era of new creation. Let me just say that again. Me and you, every single one of us, are living in an era called new creation. And Jesus began it the day that he came back from the grave, the day that he rose from the dead. That is when new creation started. So I want you guys just to know that you are a new creation. If you flip over several chapters, several books later in the book of 2 Corinthians, you can go ahead and pause if you need to. But 2 Corinthians chapter 5, Paul talks about this too. Look at verse 16 through 21. He says this, From now on, we regard no one from a worldly point of view. Though we once regarded Christ in this way, we do so no longer. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, they are a new creation. The old has gone, the new has come. All of this is from God, who reconciled us to himself through Christ and gave us the ministry of reconciliation, that God was reconciling the world to himself in Christ, not counting people's sins against them. And he has committed to us the message of reconciliation. Therefore, we are Christ's ambassadors, as though God were making his appeal through us. We implore you on Christ's behalf, be reconciled to God. God made him who had no sin to be sin for us, so that we might be the righteousness of God. This is an incredible, there's so much to talk about here, but I want to just start with this. Did you know that you are a new creation? This is what the resurrection of Jesus means for me and for you, that you are a new creation. I just want you to let that sit in for a second. Think about it. What are the areas of your life that you're just frustrated with? The areas of your life that, honestly, we could just call them old. It's just an old way of doing things. You're sick of them. You're sick of that way of doing things. I want you to know today that you are a new creation. The old stuff has gone. It's in the past. You can live a new type of life. And then there's also a second part of this. If you are a new creation people, the text actually says that God is going to use you now to invite the world into living out this new creation kind of life. How cool is that? That's awesome. It says that we are God's ambassadors. Do you know what an ambassador is? An ambassador is a person who is from a certain country, who goes and lives in a different country, but represents their home country. So if we had an ambassador to England, then we have an embassy in England, the U.S. Embassy, which is where the ambassador is. And if you're an American and you're in England, you can go to the U.S. Embassy and you are technically on U.S. soil, even though you're in England. Isn't that crazy? That's what an ambassador is. It's a person who's from one place, but is transplanted to another place, but represents their homeland. And that the Bible here in 2 Corinthians says that about you, that because of the resurrection of Jesus, those who follow him are a new creation, and now you are an ambassador for him. Which means when you go to school, I know you guys aren't going to school right now, but when you go to school, you are not just you are actually representing Jesus right where you are. So every word that you say, the way that you treat people, the way that you talk to people, the way that you encourage people or discourage them is representing who you represent. So who do you represent? You represent Jesus in the world. And think about that. You are his ambassador. He is sending you. That's a lot of pressure in one way, but also he's the one empowering you. He's the one who's given you his Spirit. And so some of you have a gift. In fact, each of you have a gift, but some of you have the gift of encouragement. Some of you the gift of perseverance, to persevere. Some of you just have this gift. Some of you are incredibly patient people. Some of you have this gift of prophecy, which is like to speak on God's behalf to the world. Some of you have a gift of speaking in tongues and you don't even know it, or of interpreting tongues. Those are gifts in the Bible as well. God has given you a specific gift so that you can be his ambassador in the world. Now, you might be thinking right now, what gift do I have? You might have no idea what gift you have. That's kind of exciting for you, because right now, in this very moment, you have the opportunity to talk to God, to pray to him, and to ask him, how have you wired me? What gift have you given me? What is this thing that you want me to do so that I can represent you, so that I can be your ambassador, right? Each and every one of us has a gift that we are to offer to the world around us. And that's what happens because we are new creation people, because we are people who are resurrection people. It's an amazing thing. So I'm going to end with this, all right? 3 questions. 1, the first question I have for you guys is, am I living a life of new creation? Are you living a life of new creation? Or are you just living just the exact same way everyone else is? Are you doing the exact same stuff everyone else is? Or are you waking up and realizing that you have a new life, that the old, just like Paul has said, the old is gone, the new has come? Are you living a life of new creation? And if you're not, is there some reason why? Is there some sin in your life? Is there something in your life that just keeps you from living this new creation kind of life? And what is it? Did you know that you can give that up to God? You can hand that over to Him. My second question for you guys: how has God gifted you to do this work of reconciliation? It's this thing I just talked about. What gift has God given you so that you can be His ambassador in the world? What is it? Some of you, God has given you this gift to speak, to be able to preach, maybe even, to be able to lead even, or the gift of peace, to be able to bring His peace into any situation, to be able to be a mediator on His behalf. What is that gift? And if you haven't figured it out yet, how are you talking with God? How are you talking with the people around you to discover what this gift that God has given you might be? And if you have discovered it, how are you encouraging yourself? How are you being encouraged to grow that gift? Okay? And then my last question, number 3. Am I ready to say yes to God? Are you ready to say yes? You see, you might have all the talent. You might have all the gifts. You might even know that you're a new creation, but something might be keeping you from just saying yes to God. And if you don't say yes, none of it really matters, does it? Guys, I've played on sports teams with some incredibly talented people. I'm telling you, soccer players that are way better than me. Some of them never really said yes to soccer, right? They had all kinds of talent. They would show up, sort of, and they would try, sort of. They never really said yes, though, and really, really went for it. And I'm telling you, they always came up short because they never really said yes to the training, to the discipline, to the sort of lifestyle that they needed to be the type of player that they could be. And I'm telling you guys are a new creation, and God has given you everything you need in Jesus because Jesus lives in you. Because He lives, you can live. So my question for you is this: have you really said yes to God? That whatever it is He's asking you to do, whatever it is He would want you to do or to be, that you're just going to say, yes, I'm all in. Count me in. That's my last question for you guys, all right? So 1, are you living a life of new creation? 2, how has God gifted you to do this work of reconciliation? And number 3, are you ready to say yes to God? All right, guys, I hope you're doing well. I hope you have an awesome rest of your week. Let's talk soon. I hope to see your faces again, maybe on a Zoom chat here soon. And otherwise, I will see you in the next video. All right, have a good one. Bye.